In the Philippines, 40% of the labor force is employed in agriculture. Yet, food insecurity continues to haunt the land, and the farmers who produce food are not only among the country's poorest, they are also its mostly invisible citizens. With the tools of science and a great reserve of social empathy, one person has devoted his life to addressing these problems. The roots of his devotion run deep. Romulo Davide was born in the mountain village of Colawin, Argao, Cebu province, to school teachers who raised him and his siblings to value hard work, education, and community service. Davide has practiced these values all his life, doing farm work as a child, working as a student laborer to help pay his way through college, scrimping to pursue his dream of getting the best education. Growing up in a farming village in a province where the common lament was that little could be harvested from small and over-cultivated farms, he drew inspiration from what his father often said, "There are no barren soils, only barren minds." It was thus that he decided to become an agricultural scientist. Today, after advanced scientific training abroad, he is one of the country's top scientists, hailed as the father of plant nematology for his teaching and groundbreaking research on nematode pests that infest and destroy agriculture crops. His discovery of nematode-trapping fungi helped to the development of Biocon, the first Philippine biological control product that can be used against nematode pests attacking vegetables, banana, pineapple, rice, and other crops, thus making available a substitute for toxic and expensive pesticides. Biocon is now used to fight banana nematode infestation in the Philippines, Latin America, and elsewhere in the world. But Davide is more than a laboratory scientist. Throughout his career, he has immersed himself in numerous field extension programs of the University of the Philippines, Los Baños College of Agriculture. Named Outstanding Agriculture Scientist in 1994, he used his award money to launch, in Colawin, the Corn-Based Farmer Scientist Training Program, or FSTP. The innovative, multifaceted FSTP sought, through actual field experience and interaction with experts, to turn farmers into farmer scientists who would themselves do experiments, discover effective techniques, manage the market, and increase production. Starting with 74 farmers, FSTP expanded to cover 35 Cebu towns and 6 other provinces by 2007. Its success was clear when farmers increased their corn yield 6 to 12 times over and adopted intercropping and animal production technologies that further increased their incomes. Recognizing this success, the national government adopted FSTP in 2008 for countrywide implementation, with Davide as program leader. Today, FSTP is being implemented in 20 provinces across the country. Throughout his career, Davide has refused to be discouraged by erratic funding, bureaucratic inertia, or political interference, asserting that one must learn to walk straight even on a crooked path. At 78, he continues to be driven by the dream that indeed the land can be made fertile if minds are challenged to become fertile as well. In electing Romulo Davide to receive the 2012 Ramon Magsaysay Award, the Board of Trustees recognizes his steadfast passion in placing the power and discipline of science in the hands of Filipino farmers, who have consequently multiplied their yields, created productive farming communities, and rediscovered the dignity of their labor.
The 2012 Ramon Magsaysay Award, Colande Francis. India is a veritable laboratory of social experiments in the war against poverty. There are spectacular successes as well as uncounted failures. In what succeeds can often be found the story of one person, self-sacrificing, innovative, and impassioned about helping people free themselves from poverty and marginalization. One such person is Colande Francis. Born to a poor family in the Salem district of Tamil Nadu, he was the only one of his siblings to go to university. Inspired by the memory of how his parents had sacrificed their only piece of land so he could attend university, Francis resolved to live a life of service. He joined the Fathers of the Holy Cross in 1970, and in his novitiate did volunteer work among people struck by famine or displaced by war. When he went to live in Natrampalayam, a remote and impoverished part of Krishnagiri district, he had the life-changing experience of sharing in both the people's miseries and their dreams. He decided to give up being a priest to devote himself wholly to social work. In 1979, he began the Integrated Village Development Project, IVDP, in Krishnagiri, starting out with small projects, conducting a night school in the light of gas lamps, setting up a first aid center. Then, with the help of development organizations, IVDP undertook a micro-watershed program that over the years built 331 small check dams, benefiting cultivators and their families in 60 villages. But still, Francis was not content, knowing he needed to do something that could be sustained for the long term, even without external assistance. The breakthrough came with the women's self-help groups, SHGs, that IVDP began organizing in 1989. Phenomenally successful, these savings and credit groups have grown into an all-women movement of 8,231 SHGs with 153,990 members, with total savings equivalent to $40 million. A cumulative loan portfolio equivalent to $435 million and a reserve fund of $8.9 million. What impresses us is not just the movement's scale. IVDP is a financially disciplined, self-reliant, member-owned and member-managed organization. Group solidarity and access to credit have fueled successful village programs in health and sanitation, housing, livelihood, and children's education, including a primary school for tribal children and a computer training academy that has to date trained some 5,000 children. Francis has accomplished this using an approach that has broken through the financial limits of traditional microfinance approaches. Organized into clusters and federations, SHGs are directly linked to banks through group accounts, bulk deposits, and loans that have given the SHGs the power to leverage preferential bank treatment. At the same time, the women have won respect by demonstrating that the poor can manage their finances effectively and reliably. All this has come to pass because, as Francis believes, quote, when people want to do something, they can, unquote. Despite his organization's spectacular growth, Francis continues to inspire by example, living a simple life with the people he is serving. A missionary, in the truest sense, he muses, real happiness comes when I see people are developing, children are improving, and suffering is removed. In electing Colande Francis to receive the 2012 Ramon Magsaysay Award, the Board of Trustees recognizes his visionary zeal, his profound faith in community energies, and his sustained programs in pursuing the holistic economic empowerment of thousands of women and their families in rural India.
The 2012 Ramon Magsaysay Award, Syeda Rizwana Hassan. Few cases of social inequity are as dramatic as these. In Bangladesh, around 150 decommissioned ships, mostly from rich nations, arrive every year to be beached and dismantled as scrap. These ships poison coastal waters with toxic chemicals and expose 20,000 workers, many of them child laborers, to extremely dangerous conditions. Also in Bangladesh, powerful and irresponsible developers are converting wetlands into commercial real estate through landfills in utter disregard of the law. They displace settlers, damage a fragile ecosystem, and worsen the country's vulnerability to catastrophic floods. Lawyer Syeda Rizwana Hassan has committed her life to seeing to it that all this must stop. After earning a master's degree in law, Hassan immediately went to work for the Bangladesh Environmental Lawyers Association, or BELA, a pioneer in public interest litigation work founded by lawyer activist Mohudin Farooq. When Farooq died in 1997, Hassan assumed leadership as BELA's executive director. Under Hassan, BELA's legal activism has widened, taking on close to 100 cases involving industrial pollution, river sand extraction, illegal fisheries, waste dumping, and others. Two precedent-setting cases raised BELA's visibility and widened public support for the cause of environmental justice. Since 2003, Hassan and BELA have fought a court battle to prevent toxin-laden ships from entering Bangladesh unless they have been decontaminated at their origin, and to enforce standards for protecting workers and the environment. Even as the battle is not yet over, Hassan has scored significant successes. Compensatory fines were ordered for the first time in Bangladesh's judicial history that a polluter was fined. Then, in 2009, the Supreme Court directed the closure of all 36 local ship-breaking yards that had been operating without environmental clearance, and directed pre-cleaning at origin or before entering Bangladesh for all ships being imported for breaking. In 2000, BELA mounted a successful campaign for a law that would ban the filling up of wetlands. but the law was never enforced. In 2004, Hassan put the law to a test by filing a case against a powerful land development company for filling land for a new township in the middle of a flood flow zone. Hassan and her young team faced formidable odds: 20 senior lawyers, court corruption, protracted delays, but they won when the court ruled the housing project illegal. Despite this, the judgment was undermined by the fact that the developer had already sold lots in the failed lands in the meantime. Undaunted, Hassan asserts, and I quote, "Standing against all these forces is in itself a victory," end of quote. She and Bella have sent a clear message that it was not going to remain business as usual, and that the spoilers of the environment were going to be challenged. A charismatic and intense advocate, Hassan is unswayed by the threats and intimidation she has experienced. She remains focused and passionate, fighting those who violate environmental laws with impunity. She explains, "My job is to revive hope in the judicial system among Bangladeshis, to give the message to the people that the law and lawyers do not always exist for the mightiest." In electing Syeda Rizwana Hassan to receive the 2012 Ramon Magsaysay Award, the Board of Trustees recognizes her uncompromising courage and impassioned leadership in a campaign of judicial activism in Bangladesh that affirms that the people's right to a good environment is nothing less than their right to dignity and life.
The 2012 Ramon Magsaysay Award, Yang Sang Koma. In post-dictatorship Cambodia, building an empowered citizenry is vital to its future as a progressive and democratic society. In this process of empowerment, food security and asset creation are basic concerns. And in a country where 66% of the population depends on rice farming, it is in rice farming communities where the most important changes must take place. Agronomist Yang Sang Koma is at the center of these changes. The son of a teacher farmer, Koma was old enough to experience the terrible dislocations under the Khmer Rouge regime, when his family was forced to leave their province for Phnom Penh. Fortunately, after the regime's fall, he gained a scholarship to earn a doctorate in agriculture in Germany. Returning to Cambodia, he worked for foreign aid organizations but sought to pursue his conviction that Cambodians need to take responsibility for their own destiny. Championing sustainable agriculture, Koma founded the Cambodian Center for Study and Development in Agriculture, or CEDAC, in 1997. With a team of 7 and the help of a French non-government organization, its early years were difficult as Koma struggled to make CEDAC a self-sustaining organization. But his single-minded determination paid off. Today, 15 years later, SEDAC is the largest agricultural and rural development NGO in Cambodia. The linchpin of SEDAC's success was its introduction of the System of Rice Intensification, or SRI, an ecologically sustainable approach to rice production based on a system of plant, water, and soil management suitable to Cambodia's dominant pattern of smallholder farms. COMA introduced SRI in 2000 to 28 reluctant farmers. Painstakingly guiding them, COMA has spread SRI's benefits to more than 100,000 rice farmers nationwide who have produced convincing results. A 61% increase in rice yields, decreased amount of seeds used, and an 85% increase in use of organic fertilizers. In 2005, the Cambodian government officially endorsed SRI as the national rice production strategy. Between 2002 and 2010, Cambodia's rice production rose from 3.82 million tons to 7.97 million tons. SEDAC's work has been credited as the major factor in this remarkable increase. Then, SEDAC established the Farmer and Nature Net, or FNN, encouraging rice farmers to share knowledge among themselves. An independent network of 1,402 farmer associations, FNN promotes sustainable agricultural practices, women's engagement in agriculture, and marketing and savings cooperatives. FNN's member associations have mobilized savings equivalent to over $8 million to date, increasing monthly by an average of 5%. In 2008, the quietly audacious COMA launched his latest initiative, a social enterprise linking farmers directly to the market. Sahakereas SEDAC, or SKC, is a chain of shops that sell only organic agricultural products, supporting over 5,000 farmers in 8 provinces. Today, SKC has already begun to export organic rice. COMA has accomplished all this through a bottom-up approach that does not impose a preset formula, but allows farmers to discover themselves a better way of doing things. The challenge, the soft-spoken COMA says, lies in building people. We have to believe in ourselves. We have to believe in our ideas. End of quote. In electing Yang Sang COMA to receive the 2012 Ramon Magsaysay Award, the Board of Trustees recognizes his creative fusion of practical science and collective will, which has inspired and enabled vast numbers of farmers in Cambodia to become more empowered and productive contributors to their country's economic growth.